So you say that you need your partner to change. You need them to communicate better. You need them to be more emotionally mature. You need them to be more present. But here's a question I'm going to ask for you or from you for the next 20 minutes is, are you showing up as the partner that you desire? Oftentimes we are not, and we are just as responsible for the cycles in a relationship that we don't prefer. So on this episode of Dating Deja Vu, we're asking you that very hard question. Are you showing up in the way or as the partner you want to have or be? If not, we've got some talking to do. Well, welcome to Dating Deja Vu, the podcast where we talk about your patterns, your pitfalls, and personal growth in modern dating. I'm your host, Christina Hathaway, marriage and family therapist and dating and relationship expert. If your dating and love life looks a lot of bit of the same, it might be deja vu, but it also might be you. So let's figure it out together. What's up, Deja crew? Welcome back to another episode of Dating Deja Vu. I'm so excited you guys are here. I'm so excited that this podcast continues to live on after our long break. And if you haven't already, make sure to give us a follow here on YouTube and go follow us on TikTok. I oftentimes elaborate on the information that I'm talking about there in like shorter form. That way you're never missing a beat. You're going to be a dating or marriage or relationship king or queen by engaging in all of them, right? So today we're talking about a question that I think is going to be really hard for a lot of people to hear. And I want to just paint the scenario for you. You probably have a list, right? You have a list of your ideal partner. Maybe it's in your notes app or it lives in your head. But you have the partner, right? The partner you want. You want them to be emotionally available, consistent, communicate well. You want them to be healthy, ambitious, but present, knows how to apologize, doesn't shrink from your success, has their shit together, and the list is beautiful. And the list is fair, y'all. The list is fair. But here's the question I want you to ponder for the next 20 minutes or so, because it's one that changed everything for me and almost every client that I've worked with on this. And it's a hard one to sit with, but if that person you described walked into your life tomorrow, or your current partner switched overnight, would they choose you? Not the highlight reel of you, not the version of you on a good week, the actual daily unfiltered you, the one who ghosts their own boundaries, snaps at the people they love, the one who is abandoning maybe their own goals the second that things get hard, the one who doesn't take care of themselves, right? Because that's the work. That's the entire conversation, and we are going to have it today. So this was something that I really had to realize in myself. I had done this conference, and the conference was actually the reason I went to it was to enhance my businesses. You know, I am the founder of two coaching businesses, to be exact. I shouldn't say many. There's only two. And I went to this kind of spiritual conference. You know, people talk about manifesting. This is even further than that. And I love that shit. I think we have so much power when we believe in ourselves. And that's ultimately what it was for. But the trainer actually had you create vision in 4 areas, and one of them was relationships. And there was a series of things that we did. We talked about what we needed to let go of in order to achieve what we wanted to achieve. And in my brain, I was focusing on business, business, business. But what kept coming back to me, it was like, you can do anything you want in your business. Like, you're good there. Where are you finding tension? And it's in my own relationship, right? There are issues in my own relationship that I need to let go of in order to create space for my husband to be the partner I want him to be. And I thought it would be a really good episode because it is something that I continue to work on as a dating and relationship specialist. Like, I'm pretty raw on here to tell you guys, like, we have a really beautiful relationship, but every relationship is going to have troubles. And obviously this is a show where we stop blaming everything else and we start examining ourselves. So today we're talking about a concept called the mirror principle. The idea that relationships that are showing up in your life are not random, right? They're not bad luck. They are not a curse passed down from your mother's side, right? They are almost always a reflection of where you are. Not where you say you want to be, not where you hope you want to be. And this episode is going to get very uncomfortable. It's why we call this dating deja vu, right? Because I'm going to ask you to do something that most people won't ask you to do, and that's take radical responsibility for the energy you bring into your connection before you start grading anyone else's. And if that lands with you, I get it, right? You can pause this, come back to it, but if you're tired of the same partner wearing different faces, or you're tired of the same exact struggles in your relationship, you've got to begin to look at you and look at yourself. And that's what I want to get into. So I want to talk about what the mirror principle is in general. The mirror principle is not woo-woo shit. It's not the universe sending you signs. Let me be so fucking clear when I say this, because the wellness world has done this concept a bit dirty in my eyes. The mirror principle is the way, this is how I teach it, is the patterns in your relationships are data about you, not just data about the person. So when the same dynamics keep showing up within your relationship and or within different people, the variable that hasn't changed is you. And I'm not trying to say that to insult you. It's fucking fact, right? It's math. And here's what I see with a lot of my clients. A woman will tell me every man I date is emotionally unavailable. And she'll list it off, right? 5, 7, 10 of them, different careers, different cities, different ages. And she'll say, what is wrong with these men? And I'll ask her this question. When was the last time you were emotionally available to yourself? When was the last time you sat with your own feelings instead of numbing them or performing through them or pushing them away or outsourcing them for that man to fix? And more times than not, it's silence, right? Because here's the thing, we don't attract what we want. We attract what we are. And more importantly, we accept what we believe we're worth. We're not picking emotionally unavailable men because the dating apps are broken, even though they kind of are. You're picking them because on some level, you don't know what to do with a man who's emotionally present, who wants to know you on a deeper, vulnerable level, who wants to be known. That kind of intimacy can be very foreign, and foreign feels unsafe. And unsafe gets rejected usually before he ever even gets a real shot, right? And this is not a character flaw. This is a pattern, and patterns are workable, right? But you can't work on a pattern that we don't name. Now, again, it's not just about a person who keeps attracting the same person. That's our tagline. It might be deja vu, but it also might be you. But I have a client who really wants to get engaged, and she's been with her partner for 10 years, and she wants him to take control. She feels like she's always controlling things. She wants him to be more emotionally available. And when I asked her this question, she goes, she took a beat and she's like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm the one controlling. I'm the one always doing the things. And then as we worked on this and she allowed him to take over things, she realized, wow, like he is actually able and capable. And I truly believe that dynamic in their relationship doesn't make him feel comfortable moving into a marriage. I don't know him, so I can't say that. I just work with her. That is not ideal for me as a coach, by the way. I want to work with both, but that's how it is. She actually works in my wellness program, so we do everything over there. But I do believe that environment, based on what she's told me, really reinforces an unhealthy commitment that he is used to, and she is reinforcing it. And so our job is to help her let go of those areas of control, because that control in that relationship feels very mother-son. It doesn't feel like a true healthy relationship. And I see it in other areas. And like I said, I see it in myself, where I want my husband to be more flirty, right? But I'm not flirting with him because I'm pissed that he's not flirting with me. So like, if I open up the door to be more flirty with him, he might be more flirty with me, right? So yeah. So let's do the actual audit. So I want you to think about your ideal partner, or like your current partner now, what the changes you want. Pull up the list, mental or written, doesn't matter, okay? Now I'm going to walk you through 5 categories for each one. And I want you to ask yourself, am I that for me? And am I that for people already in my life, including my partner? Category 1, emotional regulation. You want a partner who doesn't fly off the handle, right? Who can sit and have a hard conversation without shutting down or blowing up or disengaging, who can hear feedback without absolutely crumbling, right? Can we all say yes? Yes. When your friend gives you honest feedback, do you take it in, or do you spend the next 3 days drafting a defense in the shower? When your mom pushes a button, do you respond like an adult, or do you regress into your 16-year-old self? When you're tired and stressed and overwhelmed, who pays for that? Because if it's the people closest to you, you are not emotionally regulated, my friend. You're emotionally outsourced. This is me at times. I tend to, so my trouble is asking for help. I know my husband will help me. I need to ask him for help. And then when I don't ask for help and something goes wrong, I blame him. It's a really bad cycle. But again, these are all things that I am working on for myself. It is not emotionally regulated. It's emotionally immature, and it's cognitively immature. And I know that. And so that's my job to work on it, tell him I'm working on it, and ensure that when it does happen, I'm apologizing, but also it should never happen at a higher level or a higher intensity. The intensity should be coming down as I work on it. And that's a conversation that we have. Category 2 is follow through. You want a partner who does what they say, right? Keeps their word, who shows up, who doesn't ghost, who doesn't lie, right? Are you keeping your word to you? The gym that you said you were going to, the book that you said you were going to read, the boundary that you said you were going to hold. Do you keep your own word? If you're ghosting yourself every week, you're dating yourself the way that you're afraid of being dated, right? And you teach people that your word and your worth is less than it really is. You're devaluing yourself when you don't keep your word to yourself. And that's so, so important, because as I've said on this podcast before in the earlier episodes, like, you'll never know when someone loves you if you've never experienced love in yourself. And I 1000% believe that is true. You won't experience secure love. And the same is secure commitment. You have to be able to commit to yourself and follow through and show the people around you that you understand your worth and you are worth showing up for you. So they need to show up for you too, right? It's when we don't do that and we're inconsistent and we say we're going to do things, we don't follow through with them, the people around us are going to think, oh, she's not that serious, right? She's not that serious. I don't need to be that serious either. I can have kind of flexible goals or flexible ideas of what should and should not happen. And we train people based on how we act, which is going to be a theme here. Category 3 is self-awareness. We want a partner who knows themselves, who's done the work, right? Is it going to project any of their childhood onto you, right? But when's the last time you've examined your own partners? Not journaled about them or being victim to them. You actually sat down and examined them. Owned your part, said your part out loud. This is mine. I do this. I am the common denominator. This work is so important. And your early childhood relationships, as hopefully you know, they're going to create how we attach to people. We need to understand our attachments and not just say, oh, I'm I'm anxious attachment. Great. That's step 1 out of like 10. Just because we know we're anxiously attached doesn't mean that that's now our, cape to wear as if we're a superhero. But I see that, well, I just have an anxious attachment. Well, you were born into an anxious attachment. You learn to be anxiously attached based on your environment. You don't have to choose to continue to be anxiously attached. You do the work, right? You do the work, you gain the awareness around the anxious attachments, thoughts, feelings, and emotions and actions. And then you begin to you can only intervene with the thought. Well, the thought and the emotion. Once the action happens, obviously we can't put the toothpaste back in the what is it? Back in the tube. Tube was the word I was looking for. We can't do that, right? So we have to intervene with those spirals. Oh my God, he hasn't texted me. Oh my God, what is he doing? He's with another girl. Blah, 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 blah. Could that be true? Sure. But the likelihood of it, pretty low, right? Unless you have evidence. And if we have evidence that someone is a cheater and we're still choosing to be with them, we're choosing to stay in our anxious attachment, right? So then there we go again. This person, I can't trust him. I don't trust you. You cheated before. You're still choosing to be in that situation, right? So you're again devaluing your worth by staying with someone who's been unfaithful to you in hopes to change them, right? Don't do that. All right. Number 4 is presence. You want your partner to actually be with you, right? Not on their phone all the time, not half listening, not playing video games, not solving their next problem while you're talking, right? I get that. How present are you in front of the people you are around right now? The person at the coffee counter, right? Your own body, your work. If you can't sit through a meal without picking up your phone, you're not a present partner. You're a distracted one looking for someone to entertain you. The presence thing is so important because it's so prevalent where we have TikTok, we have Instagram, YouTube, we have video games. My husband has a race simulator. We're a big Formula One family. And he schedules his races, but he usually schedules them during like once in the morning when I'm walking the dog, and then a couple times throughout the day, like to like break up his work day. It's kind of like his fun thing to do. And I don't mind it. But like if he was scheduling that shit during our time in the evening, I would be pissed, right? Now, we both still are on our phones and like we'll watch like a Summer Charm or a Summer House or Southern Charm or whatever together. And then if something's not keeping our attention, we'll literally just like scroll on the phone. But it's something like we'll do on the couch together at the same time, right? And we're choosing to do that, but it's not one-sided. So when it's one-sided, or you're demanding what I mean by, I shouldn't say or, one-sided could also be like you're not doing it, you're both doing it, but you're demanding the other person not do it, right? Even though you're doing it. So my question is, how present are you? Are you showing up fully present and ready, and the other person's not? And you might say, well, they're not showing up, so then I get on my phone. You're just reinforcing the cycle, okay? If you say, hey, I haven't been on my phone, I really like to spend some time with you, can you put your phone away? You could say that to, a couple times, and if that person is not willing to spend that time with you, then we have an issue. Then we need to do some work around that, okay? Number 5 is self-respect. So important. You want a partner who treats themselves well. Maybe they eat really well. They take care of their mind. They, hold their own life with some dignity. Very, very important. But what does your self-respect look like in private when nobody is watching? Not the Instagram version of you, the actual version of you, the way that you talk to yourself in your mirror and in your head. The way you let yourself speak to you or even be spoken to. The standards you hold for what enters your body, your home, your bed. Do we have a sense of self-respect? This one's a tough one, you guys, especially when it comes to sex. Because I was listening to a gal on TikTok who is an OnlyFans model. And she had talked about trigger warning. We're going to talk about SA. She had talked about childhood SA and how in her mind, she decided that that's all that people wanted from her. And she could use her sexuality to get things and be safe and like move into apartments and kind of get what she wants. And then she moved to OF because she could do it without people having to touch her. And she's crying and she started reading the Bible and she's starting to learn. And like, I even just get emotional for her. I don't know this woman, but her pain was real. And I know so many men and women, but mainly women, feel like, well, this is what people want from me. So I just continue to have casual sexual encounters. And I'm not here to tell you to do that or not. Do it as long as you're respecting yourself, right? Do it as a form of self-respect. If you say, I am not wanting a committed relationship, I want to have, sexual encounters with different men, and I use protection and I, do these things to ensure that my body is safe, right? Now, it's not a foolproof plan, but I'm just trying to tell you, I'm not here to be the sex police by any means. However, that bed part of when I was saying like what enters your body, what enters your mind, what enters your bed is incredibly important, because you'll want a relationship and you'll be seeking relationships through sex. And oftentimes that doesn't work. Not to say it doesn't always work. I actually have one friend who's still married, the other one married and divorced, who were one night stands. So, yeah. But I think that that's important, because here's a deeper gut punch. We almost always demand a level of integrity from our potential partner or from our current partner that we are not currently giving ourselves. And then we wonder why we keep meeting the same people or having the same issues in a relationship, right? Because the person is matching exactly where we are at. We are the common denominator. And that's not a phrase that anyone wants to hear. I'm the common denominator. If the last 3 of your last 5 relationship ended the same way, or again, you and your partner have the same issue over and over, maybe it's you feeling unseen, with him pulling away, with the spark dying, whatever pattern it is, you are the variable. You are the common denominator. And that's not to like punish you. That actually is the most empowering data that you're going to receive in this podcast, because if it's them, you're stuck. You're a victim to the partner or the dating pool. You're waiting for something different to walk into your life and rescue you from the loop. You give your power to everyone outside of you. And sorry to tell you, but you can't control anyone other than yourself. But if it's you, even a little bit, then you know, oh, it's me. I have the agency. I have something I can work on. You have a way out of that loop that doesn't require another human being to be involved, right? I'm not saying every relationship is 50-50. I'm not saying you're responsible for the way someone has treated you. I'm saying you're responsible for the patterns that keep you walking into the red flags you keep negotiating with, right? You are responsible for the patterns in your current relationship that continue over and over and over again. And as a systems therapist, so my training is as a family systems. This system, it only takes 2 people to create a system, a dyad. They feed off of each other. And the nice thing about that, you guys, is when one person in the system changes, does something different, the other person will change too. Now, that could be good or bad, right? So we have to stop abandoning ourselves, right? Just because someone is showing us attention, they're attractive, whatever it is. The work is not finding the right person. The work is becoming someone that can recognize the right person, who can receive the right person, who can stay when the right person stays. Most people are not ready for that. They want the prize without the practice. I very much was this person when I was younger. I wanted a man who didn't need me, right? Didn't need me. But I told you guys, I used to be the original Joanna Gaines, the original fixer-upper. I found men. I remember my ex-boyfriend, one of them, like had a job at Target as like a manager. And I thought, okay, that's a good job. But I was in fucking graduate school. And he had never gone to college. And for me, that's a big deal. Education is important to me because I've seen my family struggle due to lack of education, right? Now, nowadays, it's not as important. You can be a fucking Instagram influencer, but I am not nowadays. I'm 43 years old. So we didn't have Instagram because if we did, your girl would have probably made a shit ton of money. Anyway, I just was like, okay, well, he's like a manager, so I guess. And I settled for an uneducated individual who ended up getting fired within like the first 2 months of us dating, I think. And then I ended up having to help him get a job. And then he got a job and he was okay at it. And now has worked his way up in the liquor industry because that's when I was in graduate school. I was a bartender and I had a lot of connections, but I hated him for that. He needed me as like a mentor. That's not who I wanted to be in a relationship, but I kept allowing for those red flags to happen, right? And so I understand. I want to just tell you I understand. So let's talk about embodiment, all right? So the embodiment practice is what we're going to work on this week. So how do you actually do this? How do you become a partner who you want to have? It's not affirmations or vision boards, right? It's not manifesting in a journal for 5 minutes in the morning. I do love a journal situation, so don't get me wrong. But that's not where the shifts actually happen for this. Where the shift happens is embodiment, right? Which is a fancy word for do the fucking thing. Be the thing, practice the thing in the relationship, right? Specifically the relationship you have with yourself, with your friends, and with your family. Friends are a great place to start practicing this stuff. So one of the things I practice with my friends is not butting in. I have ADHD and I get really excited to say things. And if I don't say them right then and there, I tend to forget what I was saying, but it's rude. And I realized it was rude. So I practiced it. And it's so wonderful because my friends don't know I'm practicing it. But then later on, I'll bring it up and they're like, yeah, I've noticed that. I've noticed you've not done that as much. And it's like a positive thing. And I'm like, yay. Go. So here are 4 practices I want you to try this week. Number 1, take yourself on a date, even if you're with someone. Take yourself on a date you'd actually want to be taken on. If you don't like fucking coffee, don't take yourself on a coffee date, right? If you want to go get the most beautiful, expensive espresso martini here in Scottsdale, Arizona, you go take yourself on a date. Set that reservation, wear that outfit, be present, not on your phone, right? Practice being the kind of company you want to keep, right? Notice if it feels uncomfortable, right? The discomfort is in the work. Now, if you're in a relationship, you can just tell them, I'm going to take myself on a date. I've wanted to go to this steakhouse and I'm going to do it. And if they're like, I want to come too, like, you can come next time. You can plan it next time and let them plan it, okay? Number 2 is hold one boundary you've been negotiating with yourself. The boundary with your mom, right? With your ex who still, texts you. The work that bleeds into the nights and the weekends. Hold it once just this week. Just once. Notice that you can hold your boundaries and you can survive. You will be okay. The work will get done. People will still love you. You'll still be as successful. Just hold that boundary. Boundaries are so important in relationships. My husband's really good at setting boundaries. He's been doing this thing lately where he's like, do you want to watch this or do you want to watch TikTok? Because then it says, don't get on your phone when we're watching this thing. Number 3 is have one hard conversation you've been avoiding, whether that's your partner, with a friend, with a family member, a colleague. The one you've been doing in the shower for 6 months, have it. Practice being someone that can do hard things and say hard things nicely. That is really like a muscle you have to work out because shit's going to happen in relationships. It will happen. You're going to have hard conversations. And if you're unavailable, if you're running away or you're shouting back or you are protecting them by performing what you think they want to hear, you're not going to be happy because of any of those, you're not getting your needs met. And you're just in defense mode, whether it's fight, shout, flight, run away, or fawn. do what they tell you, do what you think they do and say what you think they want to hear. That's all that is. It's a protective mechanism. And number 4, audit your inputs. What is consuming your phone, your headphones? What conversations are you in, right? What are you taking? Okay. Now, y'all know I'm a reality TV girly, but like, are you kind of focusing in on like these bitter reality TV dramas? Are you watching stuff that like doesn't promote positive relationships, right? So maybe you're following people on TikTok and it's breakups. You know, all you're doing is training your nervous system to expect chaos and love. We've got to change the inputs. Watch what changes. The work is not glamorous. It's not a 30-day challenge. It's quiet, daily, unsexy commitment to being someone who you'd actually want to date. And here's the wild part. When you start doing this, the dating pool doesn't change. You do. And suddenly the people who were always there, the steady ones, the kind ones, the present ones, become visible to you because you've finally built the eyeballs to see them. I know this. My husband does not need me. He is perfectly fine on his own. He is educated. He has a wonderful job. He's clean. He's stylish. He's handsome. He's in shape. I do his training, but he was in shape before I met him. He does not need me. He wants to be with me. He chooses to be with me every day. There's nothing from me that he needs. He has a great set of friends, actually a lot of girlfriends too, who could introduce him to someone else if he needed, right? And I would not have picked my husband if I had not done the work on myself, because my husband felt very unfamiliar to me when we met, which was a good sign because he was very nice. He was polite. He was handsome. He wasn't very swaggy. That's a word. Do we still use that word, guys? But I needed that. I didn't need the charismatic dude. I'm the charismatic dude. I don't need you to be charismatic too. It doesn't work for me. But in my brain it did. It always, blew up. And his steadiness and his presence and his boundaries, while I hated them at the time, were exactly what I needed. All right? I built the eyeballs to see it, but I couldn't do that if I hadn't done the work on myself. So the hard question is, sit with this one. If you were currently dating you, would you stay? Not would you tolerate, would you stay? Would you choose you? Would you fight for you? Would you build with you? If the answer is no, or even I'm not sure, that's where the work starts, right? That is the entire work. You don't need a different match. You need a different relationship with yourself, because the partner that you want to have, even in your current relationship, is the mirror to the partner you're willing to be. So if this episode hits with you, I want you to do 2 things. Send it to the friend you've had this exact conversation with at brunch 4 times in the last year. Then sit down today just for 10 minutes and write down what came up for you. Not the action items, the true shit that came up in your head. What did you flinch at? Where did your belly drop? Where did you get defensive? What did you already know? That's where the next chapter starts with you. I'm so happy you guys are here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you do like this information, I'd love a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you're on YouTube, I'd love for you to hit the subscribe button. And if you're listening between your ears, hit that follow button wherever you're listening to this podcast. That helps me get this information out to more people. Obviously, I love doing this. I don't make any money off of it. It really is to help teach the world how to be better partners. Just a disclaimer, wellness coaching and dating coaching is not a replacement for psychotherapy or mental health treatment. Blah, blah, blah. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. I hope you found this really helpful. We've got some work to do on ourselves, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. But other than that, I'm going to leave you just reminding you that, as we've said today, it might be deja vu, but it also might be you. Bye-bye.